Now, next topic is capital asset pricing model. In short form, we can say CAPM. So, the capital asset pricing model CPM is used in finance to determine a theoretically appropriate rate of interest of an asset. If that asset is to be added to an already well diversified portfolio, given that asset's non-diversifiable risk. The CAPM formula takes into account the asset sensitivity to non-diversifiable risk, and that is also known as systematic risk or market risk that I already told you in module 2, referred to as beta in the financial industries, as well as the expected return of the market and the expected return of a theoretical risk-free asset. The model was introduced by Jack Treynor, William Sharps, John Linter and Jen Mosin independently, building on the earlier work of Harry Markowitz on diversification and modern portfolio theory. Now, next topic is assumption of CAPM. CAPM is an equilibrium model of the trade-off between expected portfolio return and unavoidable risk. There are following assumption of CAPM. Now, first assumption is capital markets are efficient where investors are well informed. Second one is transaction costs to market investment in different securities are zero. Next is there are negligible restriction on investment and no taxes. Next, the situation of market is alike perfect competition and no investor is large enough to efficient the market. No investor is large enough to affect the market price of the stock. The capital asset pricing model is all about describes individually stock returns as a function of the overall market returns. The capital asset pricing model, that is CAPM, is a model that describes the relationship between the expected return and risk of investors in security. It shows that expected return on a security is equal to risk-free return plus risk premium, which is based on the beta of that security. Below is an illustration of CAPM concept. You can see this diagram. Now, next topic is undervalued and overvalued stock. The CAPM model can be practically used to buy, sell or hold stocks. CAPM provides the required rate of return on a stock after considering the risk involved in an investment. Based on current market price or any other judgmental factors, that is known as benchmarks, one can identify as to what would be the expected return over a period of time. By comparing the required return with the expected return, the following investment decisions are available. So, in the first case, when CAPM less than expected return, we need to take a decision buy. This is due to the stock being undervalued, that is, the stock gives more return than what it should give. In the next condition, that is second condition, when CAPM greater than expected return, we need to take a decision sell. This is due to the stock being overvalued, that is, the stock gives less return than what it should give. And the third condition is when CAPM is equal to expected return. In that condition, we need to take a decision to hold. This is due to the stock being correctly valued. That is, the stock gives same return than what it should give. From another angle, if the current market price is considered as basis of CAPM, then actual market price less than CAPM, stock is undervalued. Second condition, actual market price greater than CAPM, stock is overvalued. Actual market price is equal to CAPM, stock is correctly valued. Now, next topic is security market line. So what is the security market line? Security market line is a graphical representation of CAPM. This line indicates the rate of return required to compensate at a given level of risk. When we plotting required return on y-axis and beta on x-axis, we get an upward sloping line which is given by RM minus RF. This is called risk premium. The higher the beta value of security, higher would be the risk premium relative to the market. This upward sloping line is called security market line, that is SMA. It measures the relationship between systematic risk and return. Portfolio evaluation. In this topic, this process is concerned with assessing the performance of the portfolio over a selected period of time in terms of return and risk. It involves quantitative measurement of actual return realized and the risk borne by the portfolio over the period of investment. The objective constructing of a portfolio and revising it periodically is to maintain its optimal risk-return characteristic. Various types of alternative measure of performance evaluation have been developed for use by investor and portfolio manager. This step provides a mechanism for identifying weakness in the investment process and for improving this deficient area. It should, however, be noted that the portfolio management process is an ongoing process. It is start with security analysis, proceed to portfolio construction and continues with portfolio revision and with portfolio evaluation. Superior performance is achieved through continual refinement of portfolio management skill. Following three ratios are used to evaluate the portfolio. The first one is the tenor measure, the second one is the Sharpe measure, and third one is Jensen model. Now next topic is performance evaluation. In order to determine the risk-adjusted returns of investment portfolios, several eminent authors have worked since 1960 to develop composite performance indices to evaluate a portfolio by comparing alternative portfolios within a particular risk class. The most important and widely used measures of performance are the tenor measure, the Sharpe measure, and the third one is Jensen model and Fama model. So now next topic is tenor measure. So what is in the tenor measure? The tenor measure is developed by Jack Tenor. These performance measures evaluate funds on the basis of Tenor's index. This index is a ratio of return generated by the fund over and above risk-free rate of return, generally taken to be return on securities backed by the government, as there is no credit risk associated. During a given period and systematic risk associated with its beta, symbolically it can be represented as tenor index, that known as TI in a short form, is equals to RI minus RF divided by beta I, where RI represents return on fund, RF is risk-free rate of return, and BI, that is beta I, is beta of the fund. Now next topic is the Sharpe measure. In this model, performance of a fund is evaluated on the basis of Sharpe ratio, which is a ratio return generated by the fund over and above risk-free rate of return, and the total risk associated with it. According to Sharpe, it is total risk of the fund that the investors are concerned about. So, the model evaluates funds on the basis of reward per unit of total risk. So, it is actually on total risk. Symbolically, or you can say it is mathematically, it can be written as Sharpe index, that is SI is equals to RI minus RF upon SI, where SI is standard deviation of the fund. In tenure ratio divided by beta I, that is only difference. In a Sharpe ratio SI, that is standard deviation of fund. While a high and positive Sharpe ratio shows a superior risk adjusted performance of a fund, and a low and negative ratio is an indication of unfavorable performance. Now next topic is comparison of Sharpe and tenure. Sharpe and tenure are similarly in a way, since they both divide by the risk premium by numerical risk measure. The total risk is appropriated when we are evaluating the risk-return relationship for well-diversified portfolios. On the other hand, the systematic risk is the relevant measure of risk when we are evaluating less than fully diversified portfolios or individual stocks. So this is all about investment analysis and portfolio management, module 4. Thank you. Superior performance achieved through continual refinement of portfolio management skill. Following three ratios are used to evaluate the portfolio. The first one is the tenure measure, the second one is the Sharpe measure, and third one is Jensen model. So this is all about investment analysis and portfolio management, module 4. Thank you.